dual set. 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요. Noonas
Noonas
podcast입니다.
podcast입니다. Yay, we did it!
Yay!
Oh, hi
You didn't
everybody.
hear
Welcome
like the
back.
rest of like our takes back then.
No, I'm thankfully editing those out, but welcome back to the Noonas podcast. I am your host, Jenny, and as always is with me my co-host, Jenny.
Hello.
And we are back with more K-pop goodness this week. Wow. I think we're hitting we're hitting like peak insanity right now in terms of K-pop content. Like every day has been something this past week.
They're not giving us any breaks.
No, and as multi-stands, like we just can't breathe. Like
Yeah.
Oh my god! Like I've been busy streaming. Besides what we're going to talk about this week, I've been freaking out over AT's Protocol, which was their second anniversary show. Which
and I've been trying to avoid it like the plague because I don't want to become an 18E. I'm not ready for their disrespect.
I'm dragging you down. I'm sorry. Come Halloween Friday, I am dragging you down. They just dropped this morning. Recording this on Wednesday. They just dropped that they're going to have a Halloween performance. Drop midnight Korea time on Friday, and they're doing their cover of Black Cat that they did on Immortal Songs, and I really love that cover. And let's just say they kind of teased us with it during Protocol, and I'm super excited. Also, they just have had amazing Halloween performances the couple years that they've been on the scene. So their Halloween performances are amazing. I love the Halloween performances we get every year for a bunch of K-pop idols. We'll have to see what we get this year, but Halloween's only a couple days away, but we have a lot of stuff happening in the world of K-pop this week. We actually had two relatively big album drops happen this week. We had Twice's second full album, Eyes Wide Shut drop, as well as Tomorrow by Together's third mini album, Minisode Episode 1 Blue Hour, or I think it's just Minisode 1 Blue Hour. Both dropped on Monday. And we also have a bit of I don't want to call it a sensitive topic, but a topic that, we've been kind of looking into a little bit as of late. And I'm sure some people have heard of it because, once again, BTS has kind of been involved in it slightly, but it relates more to socio-political stuff between Korea and China. So we're going to get into that later this episode. But first, I think we'll start off on a good note, and we'll start with some album reviews. And we'll go right ahead and get right into the first album review this week with Twice's second full album, Eyes Wide Open.
Let's do it.
I'm ready. So I will say this. I am not at all a Once, which is their fandom, but I have been getting into their stuff. I do really like what they usually release in terms of their singles.
Same here. I'm not really like a huge Twice fan. I just like enjoy listening to some of their songs. Like most of their hit songs like TT, Me Like Me, or Cheer Up. There's it's a bunch of really cutesy stuff because that's what they're really known for, and they are like Korea's go to girl group, or what they are called, the nation's girl group.
They're called the nation's girl group. While most international audiences obviously are more familiar with Blackpink, Twice is definitely more focused on the domestic audience in terms of Korea domestic audience. Like, they are basically dubbed the nation's girl group. They are immensely popular over in Korea. I still think they're up there with Blackpink in terms of popularity. They're finally actually getting recognition on the Billboard. Their last mini album that came out this summer actually debuted on the Billboard 200 here in the States. So that's impressive. So they are starting to get more notice worldwide, which I'm really happy because they are a fun group. They're definitely more bubblegum pop, if you want to think about it. Like, I remember the first single I heard from them was Yes or Yes, and that's super, super like sugary sweet, but it's really catchy. It's an earworm. And that was 2 summers ago when I heard that. So they're definitely more on the sweeter side of things. But I have to say, I was really surprised with Eyes Wide Shut because they kind of took a little bit more of a mature turn in terms of their sound.
Yeah, I think it kind of like transitioned from their last album, which was like More and More. So
Hmm.
yeah, I'm glad that like they're moving on from like a cutesy girl group into a more mature type of group.
Yeah, I mean, More and More was fun, but it didn't quite like
Mhm.
grab me.
Yeah, same here.
As I know, and I felt a lot of Onces kind of felt the same way too that I know of. At least the Onces that I know and I run in circles with, who are also other multi stands. Yeah, it just seemed like it was more. It was more the same stuff that we've seen from them. It wasn't anything like like a expansion of what they could do. I mean, it was a mini album too, so it wasn't like a huge album, but just it felt like it was a little lacking. So to come out now with I Can't Stop Me, which was their title track off of Eyes Wide Open, I really dug the track. I'm not gonna lie, I
Yeah,
really dug it.
yeah, like when listening to the album, all I could like think of is just like it's another one of those like 80s sounding songs again, and I am really appreciating that like 2020 is like the year where artists not just in Korea but like in even in the US they're we're revisiting some of the elements from the 80s, like going back to the synths and having like this really atmospheric vibe into like the music, which I really dug.
Yeah, there's a lot of that 80s vibe. I mean, not all the way through the album, but a good chunk
Yeah.
of it has that kind of 80s-esque vibe to it. Which again, yeah, I mean, it's been very much like the retro kind of sound has been like I think the big standing point now I've seen, at least in K-pop in the second half of this year, but has been kind of
Yeah.
prevalent, I think, in all of pop music this whole year. I mean, we've been seeing it too with like Dua Lipa and Doja Cat in the
Doja
States here and
Cat
stuff. Yeah.
and yeah, Weekend.
In the weekend too, yeah. I mean, that whole retro sound has just been like the hit thing. And I mean, I'm not sure if I'm starting to get sick of it a little bit. But because like everyone's doing it. But yeah, it was just fun because it was for them, it was more of a I felt like more of a mature turn for them. It wasn't so like cutesy bubblegum pop, like them talking about love and stuff like that. Like it was definitely more. I don't want to say introspective song because I mean, I looked into the lyric translations for I Can't Stop Me, and it feels like they're kind of all, I feel like a lot of groups have been harkening on the whole psychology of things as of late since BTS has done it.
The BTS, they like think everything for BTS, like the Carl Jung psychology,
Mhm.
and just like trying to like improve on yourself, loving yourself. It's just thank you
Yeah,
BTS.
I know. It seems like everybody's kind of grabbing on the tail a little bit because the lyrics kind of dig at that a little bit because they talk about like the spotlight and the shadow and stuff. So,
Mhm.
again, thank you, Suga. But yeah, it's a really fun sound, and I really can't wait to see like how it's going to be on stage. I haven't seen any of the music show performances. I think those are all going to start
Yeah,
tomorrow on Thursday.
yeah, I don't
So
think I've seen any like videos of that in my feed either.
yeah,
So
I know a lot of the stuff this weekend will be a lot of. I know the music shows are going to be packed this weekend with all the comebacks that
yeah,
happened this week. There's some comebacks that we're not going to have time to talk about this week. There was a lot. Yeah, I mean, I really dig the whole sound throughout the album, and I was looking, there's a lot of, it's still pretty poppy, but I still like a lot of like just the sound of it in general. Like
mhm.
Hell in Heaven, like which is the second track on it, I really dug. Like I like the transition from I Can't Stop Me into Hell in Heaven. Like that was a um really fun song. I thought Queen was honestly my favorite track because it almost had like a Mamamoo-esque, like mature feel to it.
Oh
Like it
yeah, I
felt like
think
something Mamamoo would
yeah,
do.
yeah, I think like from like the tracks such as Eat Like Queen, Go Hard, I really think like something that would Blackpink would do. That's because that's what I've that's what I'm reminded of like
Hmm.
from like the recent album of Blackpink's The Album. Yeah, that's what I like the instrumentals from that song is just really like a bit of like a girl crush type of thing, or like the type of sound. So
Hmm.
it's really like a refreshing thing that to have from Twice's discography, which I really appreciate. And I do appreciate like that they also did do other retro stuff, like doing a bit of a city pop. So one of my favorite songs was "Say Something," which is like towards almost at the end of their album, and it just yeah, it just really like grabbed me and just like took me by surprise in a in a good way. And yeah, like I know whenever you go like throughout the album, people would go slower at the end of the album. So with these songs from Twice, I really like dug because they're not like those really sentimental, like sappy slow songs. It's just like those really like chill and bit of like a melancholy that you can bop to. That's
Yeah.
how I like think about.
Yeah, I mean, I really dug the last two songs of the album, "Say Something," and then "Behind the Mask." "Behind the Mask" was
Yeah.
a really great, like, finishing song. Like, it's almost very inspirational in a way.
Say like the 80s like just finishing off with like an 80s type of like homage, because when I heard like Behind the Mask for the first time, I was like trying to think like the instrumental, like I've heard it somewhere before, and then I finally figured out like, oh, like the instrumental really sounded like Betty Davis Eyes, if you guys know that song. And I even like researched on who were like the people who composed or wrote the song, and like who made the music. And I was surprised that Dua Lipa was actually involved in making some of their songs for Twice's Eyes Wide Open. So like I was
Yeah.
like, oh, no wonder why like there's so many 80s elements into their songs.
Yeah, that was huge news when before the album dropped that Dua Lipa was actually helping out with the track. And
Yeah.
that track, seriously, it's a great finishing song. Like, it's super inspirational. Like, I feel like I could listen to it and just like feel like I'm ready to take on the day and I'm ready to go.
Hmm.
It's yeah, it's really really inspirational, and like I really hope that Twice's like sound can kind of continue, because they are starting to get older. They're a
Yes.
5-year-old group, so like they can't do like the cutesy girl stuff like not anymore, but like it gets old after a while, because like it's just too saccharine, sugary sweet, and like a lot of their stuff has
Yeah.
kind of been like that. I mean, a lot of it's very catchy.
Same thing with G-Friend too, since they also do a lot of like cutesy girly sounds. And yeah, from like what I've heard from like their song Apple, yeah, they're really starting to mature with their music as well.
Yeah, I'm hoping as they start progressing, because you're getting to a bit more of an older, as you're like, because I mean, Twice is probably the girl group of the third generation outside of Blackpink. Like they are like the definitive girl group that if you think of Generation 3 K-pop, the first group you think of is Twice. And I mean, a lot of their catchy stuff has been memeable, like TT and stuff like that are like living memes. Like they've been memed
Yeah,
forever since they dropped. So
that's the first time I've heard from TT was from J Hope like splashing his face because he's trying to cry. So I would thank J Hope from like introducing me to TT. Thank
oh my
you.
god. Oh, that's the very infamous episode of Dollar Bangtan. Oh, I'm having flashbacks to Yoonji now. Oh my god.
You're welcome.
Yoonji is Yoonji is that bitch. Anyway, you have to go watch it. It's so funny. Oh my god, that's classic Bangtan bullshit there. Anyway, yeah, I mean, like I said, I was very surprised with how synth pop and how synth pop the album was, and like I said, I hope we get more of that with Twice's music in the future. I mean, we'll see. I mean, JYP likes to kind of go back and forth in terms of like their sound sometimes, and they're not like
Mhm.
other groups like Stray Kids where they have a lot of hands-on production with their stuff. Like they definitely do everything's in-house, but you know, a lot of them don't really have a lot of input, although a lot, and I was looking at the liner
Yeah.
notes to this one, a lot of the members actually had a hand in the lyric writing, not in the music
Oh
side but
yeah,
in the lyric writing of it, like
which is
Jiho,
good.
Sana, Daehoon, Chanyeong, Nayeon all
Mhm.
had hands in lyric writing in different songs. So that's good to see.
Of course, like
but then
JYP has like had a hand in like writing for I Can't Stop Me.
Well, of course, I feel like he has a hand in writing every single one of their singles because that's kind of his thing. He's like they are his like children. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say about the album, but I really dug it. It's a real fun synth sound, and like I said, I'm not sure if I'm getting sick of the 80s sound yet, but
I'm not.
I know you really dig the 80s sound, but we'll see. I mean, we'll see because I know the trends come and go. But as for right now, like it's fun. It's a lot of fun, and it'll be interesting to see how I Can't Stop Me is going to hold up this weekend in terms of all the music shows and stuff, because we had another big album drop this week too. On this side is we have TXT, or Tomorrow by Together's third mini album, Minisode 1 Blue Hour, which also dropped on Monday, with the single Blue Hour. Or in terms of Tomorrow by Together, they have the most, I'm not going to lie, I love their titles, like the actual Korean titles, because like I will say this, I kind of compare it to Panic at the Disco, and like they have these most like elaborate names for their song titles. Like every single one of their like singles has had elaborate titles, and then the English translation is just like one or two words. Like seriously, like Crown was literally the Korean title. Crown, the lyric, the actual lyric, the translation, because they have a Korean title, which I'm not going to try to pronounce Korean right now because my Korean is horrible. But like the lyric, like the actual like literal translation is "One day antlers grew from my head," which is referenced in the song.
What? Wait, what?
Yeah, that's well, because they took the whole thing with Crown was like, because a lot of their stuff they talk about teenagers and stuff, and they talk about like growing up, and antlers like being I'm trying to think because of how they described it. So it's like antlers, like your growth spurts and stuff like that, and just like becoming weird and like you have those weird growth spurts and stuff when you're a teenager.
That's a really elaborate like type of way for like a figure of speech or poetic comparison.
Well, like, and even "Can't You See Me," their last single was the literal Korean translation is "The Night the World Burned." Yeah. It's
I'm not entirely familiar with like the TXT's work, so that's why you're like teaching me all these stuff.
Teaching you as I'm kind of a MOA, which is their fandom, Moments of Alwaysness. I don't know why they came up with that, but MOA. But yeah, no, they came back with their third mini album, which again serves as kind of a break in between eras for them. That's what they've said. We had the previous era, which was the Dream era, and then they had different eras. They had Star, Magic, and Eternal. So we're kind of getting a break from this, and then before we go into the next era, and which is interesting because this whole album they wrote during COVID, during all the COVID shutdown and stuff. So everything on this album is basically like almost like a reflection on how they're seeing the world right now. Like in terms of
that's interesting.
In terms of a teenager, kind of living through this, because a lot of the songs reference like being apart and not being there for people. I mean, because even Blue Hour is talking about you like kind of use your imagination, just kind of like trying to find that time in the day where like you can kind of let your mind wander and stuff. I mean, the literal title of the song is "You and I Found the Sky at 5:53," which is referencing the time the sun sets in Korea in October. So around 5:53 in the afternoon. So it's like that time where like the sun's setting, the sky's really pretty, but the shadows are growing longer. Like they're really playing off of that idea, and it's kind of poetic in a way.
Yeah, and then again, they're the ones who like made their own, wrote their own songs, right?
Right. I mean, they have a lot of input into their stuff. Like again, Big Hit, TXT is under Big Hit Entertainment, which is again the same company that runs BTS, and they tend to have a lot of say into what they produce and stuff. They had a really big hand in writing wish list, which is the fourth song on the album. Which I actually really, really liked because it was like kind of like this like it felt like this early like 2010s like pop rock song. Like I could totally see myself jamming out to back in my emo days.
Yeah, I was about to say that a lot of like their songs, like their 6 songs or 5 songs, have a lot of like a '90s, maybe like early 2000s alt rock type of sound. Like all I
Mhm.
can think of is either like something like the Strokes would do is
Yeah.
because they use a lot of like electric guitar riffs in their in some of their tracks, so that's why
Mhm.
it's like reminding me of like Twice is doing it like their '80s retro sound, and then this one's like the '90s 2000s alt rock. So
Yeah.
it's yeah, these comebacks have been like pretty nostalgic for me.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, they definitely have the nostalgic feel. Like I said, again, I think because again they're referencing like it's again all these feelings we're having during the pandemic because a lot of the songs are referencing like just like because like the first song "Ghosting" is like literally talking about getting ghosted,
Ghost.
um, and dealing with all this stuff. And then like honestly, one of my favorite songs on the track, "We Lost the Summer," which I didn't realize was actually co-written by Charlie XCX.
Mhm.
She had a hand in writing "We Lost the Summer," which I really dug because it kind of like almost like bookends with "Our Summer," which is one of their earlier songs off their first album. But it talks about like how how we couldn't do the things we wanted to do this summer because of the pandemic, and
Mhm.
it's almost melancholy in a way, but it's still like I can't think of the right word right now off the top of
It's
my
like
head.
maybe like something like an optimistic, hopeful message.
Yeah, yeah, I think because I think we're all trying to find like that. We're gonna get to the end of this.
Yeah,
We're gonna make it through, which I think a lot of people are definitely kind of starting to feel that now. Hopefully, I mean,
yeah,
especially in Korea, they're handling the pandemic way better than we are
yeah.
here
Of course.
on this side of the world. But yeah, I mean, and then also, I mean, their single "Blue Hour" was. I really liked it. Like, it almost had a Dynamite feel to it. Like, I mean, we're gonna go off of BTS's
That's what I've been
Dynamite.
like trying to say. Like it's like a Dynamite 2.0, and of course because they're like BTS's little brothers, like they have like that
Hmm.
sort of sound. Even like the visuals, like the thing like the hillside reminds me of like the end video of
Hmm.
Dynamite. Or yeah, even some of like even the tree. As I could have sworn I've seen that from BTS's Stay Gold.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I
I
think
think
we
it's
like
almost the same tree.
I think we're like just borrowing or just like pretending that they're in the same universe. But what I liked, what makes that like theirs like more identifiable and what
Hmm.
makes it TXT is how I love how their concept, the group's concept is really almost like a fantastical, whimsical
Hmm.
sort of thing. Like their visuals, like how they're saying that they're really like childlike and how like they're trying to process on growing up into an adult.
Hmm.
It's kind of like giving us like the Peter Pan Lost Boys type of type of like emotion or like I'm trying to like find the way like
Like
that's how it's like
feeling.
resembling Ash. So
Mhm.
that's what I really appreciate and what like TXT and what they're going for.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely play on the whole whimsical. Their whole universe from their beginning has been kind of this whole fight between their childhood, like that weird gray area between childhood and adulthood. Like when you're a really awkward
Yeah.
teenager. I mean, obviously both Ginny and I have grown out of that phase, but it's kind of interesting to see that now, especially in a world where, we are surrounded constantly by social media and just all this technology and stuff. And so just kind of to see like that fight between losing that innocence, but then, also gaining that maturity has been fascinating. And they've been in like a lot of the backstory. Like I said, I could probably go a whole episode into explaining this AU because in the only couple albums that they had, like they've kind of really developed this rich alternate universe storyline that
Hmm.
kind of goes into that whole fight between childhood and adulthood. And I mean, I could even see this too. Like, I can kind of see some references that could play into that alternate storyline. They tend to actually, once they get to the end of their eras, they tend to drop a longer form music video that really goes into the AU. So I'm actually curious to see what's going to happen with that. That won't be until they're near done with promotions. And they've also usually drop a second music video too. So it'll be interesting to see which song that will be. I'm thinking it might be Wishlist because they haven't shown choreography for that one yet, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, between like the styling and stuff and just like the whole idea of it, because they're calling it a mini-sode, so it's basically like a break in between their current eras. And I just also like the fact that TXT's sound is always changing. There's always something new. Like their last album, the Dream Chapter Eternity, was super, like, it was darker in a way. Like I almost see that like they're almost like not really super emo-y, but like definitely more, there's more darker themes and stuff. Like Can't You See Me, both Can't You See Me and Puma were darker songs, and even the styling and the choreography that went into those videos. Like, I'm not gonna lie, Puma shook me when I first saw that video.
Yeah, I think that their song with Puma and Can't You See Me is like a bit bordering into like more of like a sexual side, or like more the sensual side of their discography. So I think they're trying to like delve in or like experiment into those types of areas before.
Yeah, I remember I was watching their comeback show on Monday and like they talked about like Puma is possibly the darkest thing like they've done in their discography, and it was definitely a big change for them to, you know, do those kinds of moves and to do that kind of choreography, because there's a lot of emotion into it, and just because of the whole like panther-like movement. Even the song itself, you know, talking about basically relating them to the panther or the puma that escaped from the zoo and was being chased down by, you know, the zookeepers.
Actually, very feral.
It's very feral, and I also should not be feeling this because they're young, and anyway.
I know, right? Yeah, I know.
Oh goodness. Also, seriously, what is in the water at Big Hit right now? Because oh my God, the glow up. I've been looking at this era, and Bumgoo had a hell of a glow up between Eternity and Minisode, and I'm just like, okay, you're quickly becoming my bias wrecker in this group. Like
I'm not entirely familiar with them yet, but I'll see if you're right about that.
You're gonna have. I'll also show you. He's giving me like the look he was having when his hair was more perms in the video. He's giving me Mark Twain vibes from GOT7, like immensely. Yeah. So yeah, I was like, and like seriously, I'm just sitting here in the water. I'm like, what is happening at Big Hit right now? Like, what the heck? Between this and Hyphen, I'm like, and then also we have B coming out, at the end of next month too. So
right.
Oh Lord, it's still
we're getting there. Over. We're getting there. We'll get through it.
We're definitely gonna get through it. It's just, whew. But
just tired, man.
Yeah, just so tired. But we're gonna power through. We still have more album reviews next week to do because there's more music dropping. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say about the album itself. Like I said, I really dig the whole styling of it and just the concept of it. It's been super fun. Again, I'm looking forward to seeing this on stage this weekend during the music shows. I honestly don't know which song's going to win, whether it's I Can't See Me or oh my God, I'm combining song titles. Oh my God.
I Can See Me.
Wow, I'm tired apparently. I Can't Stop Me and Blue Hour. I'm very interested in seeing which might take the cake this weekend in terms of music show wins, or if it's going to be something else even too.
They're going to give it again to like either Blackpink or NCT because
because that's been those have been hot too. So we'll see what happens. Plus, there's a lot of other comebacks I do want to check out this weekend too.
And Taemin is coming soon too. It's like, oh shoot.
Oh my God, I just saw that news that Taemin's second part of his album series is coming out. I'm like, sure, let's add that to the list because I'm already dead inside.
Yeah.
So
but I'm kind of rooting for Taemin as well because I feel bad that he's not getting a lot of acknowledgement in his work. Like, I know like he's successful with SHINee, but like in his solo work, he's not getting a lot of merit.
Yeah, because Criminal is an amazing song. You should all go check it out. That's a sexy song. Yeah, I can't wait to see what his second part of his series is going to be. On top of that, we have Monsta X coming. We have Mamamoo coming. I'm trying to think who else is dropping. Well, I just found out Hyphen is debuting November 30th, which is like 10 days after B drops, which
and
I don't know what Big Kid's doing, but I guess Hyphen is technically
co-owned by the new girl group aespa from SM. So
who's also supposed to debut in November too?
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah, they just started announcing members of aespa this week, so we might get into that next week, kind of our discussion on that, because I have some thoughts about this whole concept of theirs, whether it's good or bad. Yeah, we might have to talk into that next week, but I think we should get into our big topic, though. I know we both wanted to talk about this week, and I kind of let you take the reins on this one, Ginny, because I know you got some feelings on this, and
I don't know how to express it clearly or maybe even rationally, but okay, so I'm gonna give you a bit of a background context on what's happening between China and Korea. So not too long ago, it was probably this month, BTS received their award for the Korea Society's James A. Van Fleet Award. So it's an award that's acknowledging the good relations between Korea and the U.S. basically. So when they're expecting the speech, RM made a speech about how South Korea and the U.S. How they've gone through strengthening their relationships ever since they banded and struggled together in the Korean War. So Korean War, it's South Korea and the U.S. against communist China and North Korea. So after he made the speech, that triggered China's government into banning a lot of their merchandise and putting up some propaganda in their media, glorifying their nation as they're the ones who are the good guys here. So they've done it in their TVs, their social media, so Weibo, WeChat, and their Twitter. So going on to the more recent news. Again, in the K-pop industry, many idols, trainees, who wanted to become idols, they moved to they moved to Korea to stay and train in the South for many years, and many of those non-Koreans are mostly came from China. So, but there has been a recent strain between those two countries, so China and South Korea, due to their politics, and a lot of their politics would influence them to pull out their idols so they can promote more into their home country. So what happened was in the 70th anniversary of the Korean War, the Chinese idols such as EXO Slay or Victoria from FX, from Pristine we have Kyo Kyung, who is Ji Kyung, and Cosmic Girls Chen Kiao, Meiki, and Xuan Yi. Hopefully I'm pronouncing them right. So what they posted on their social media is they were commemorating the anniversary of China and Korea. They didn't mention, they were helping at the North, trying to commemorate and honor their soldiers who died in that war, and who died, fighting against the U.S. So that led to a bunch of Korean netizens being angry of what they've posted and what they've supposedly, I guess, believe in their political views, and they made petitions and wanting to ban those Chinese idols into promoting from South Korea. So that's pretty much what the controversy is going on with the Chinese idols. And Jenny, do you have any opinions on if you believe those petitions would work, or how do you feel about those idols sharing that anniversary?
Well, I have to say this: the political manifestations that happen between China and South Korea, we've seen this a lot. We saw this a lot happened last year when the Hong Kong protests started, and a lot of Chinese idols were supporting motherland China, and not in the police, and not, you know, the Hong Kong residents that were fighting, you know, for against the police state. And that, you know, caused a big uproar, to not just to the Hong Kong K-pop fans, but to some of the South Korean fans, because they've been seeing some of the strife that, you know, the Chinese government has put on people. But it's almost like a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of situation, because if you actually look at what all those idols posted, they all copy and pasted almost the exact same banner, which kind of feels like the poster, it kind of feels like they were kind of forced away, like their hands are kind of tied, like they have to post that because they're Chinese celebrities in a way to support
their pride.
Beijing.
And if you don't, they're gonna be either punished. I don't know how extreme that they're gonna be punished, but
well, a lot of it probably is being blacklisted. You know, from being, you know, having your stuff sold in China and being able to promote in China and stuff. I mean, we saw this back in 2017, there was a lot of, or 2016 and 17, there was a lot of like cancellations and Korean stuff pulled out of China because they were installing a missile defense system. The U.S. was installing a missile defense system in South Korea, and that got China all upset. And basically, they just started banning like anything and everything K-pop and like Korea, like Korean, like K-dramas, Korean movies, again the music, and like like it's always like they always the Chinese government, their media is very, very much like, because the government basically controls the media over there, so a lot of it has
really
way
biased. Of that. And it's really like nationalistic, if not. Like they're like really like showing like their pride in like China and like their politics, even if they don't know like whether like they're being corrupt or not, like they're still showing pride.
Yeah, I mean that was the big thing too with the whole BTS backlash, because let's put it this way, in no way in any moment of that speech did RM mention anything about China, because again, the James Van Fleet Award was an award given by a U.S.-based nonprofit that gives out, it's, you know, called the Korea Society. It's Korean-U.S. relations. There was no mention of China anywhere in his acceptance speech.
He didn't damn like the Chinese like government for like putting up through that. They just like only said like South Korea and the U.S. is just okay.
Yeah, because I mean they've been allies. I mean, there's a reason why there's a lot of U.S. bases in Korea in the first place. But yeah, I mean, because basically, like China was trying to cancel BTS in the country, and then I know a lot of armies were really up in arms about that. I mean, they were basically banning they're banning the Samsung, like the BTS version of the phone, of the Samsung Galaxy S20, the purple earbuds that they were selling to. I know they're pulling Hyundai ads, they're pulling Fila ads. Those are all brands that BTS is currently signed to with advertising, like really big brands. And yeah, just because again, it was this whole Chinese nationalistic idea of like, you know, how dare they besmirch our country, but they really didn't. Like there really wasn't anything wrong with what they said. Like they were just trying to cancel it. I know I saw on Twitter some Chinese armies who, you know, managed to get through all the blockades and stuff were like,
oh yeah,
you know, we're not mad at them at all. Like this is just like, you know, some media, you know, like, bullshit, because it kind of like established by a tabloid.
Yeah, or they're curmudgeon like politicians. They still like stand up from the past.
So, I mean, I guess technically in Korea, they never ever officially lift the ban on Korean like imported like entertainment, although they still, you know, technically allow K-pop albums in. But like again, it's still really, really hard. And I guess, and I mean, you have to consider too, a lot of the big markets for K-pop are obviously in East Asia. Now it's starting to grow more towards the Western audience, as we're seeing, because more of the Western audience is now getting more engaged in the media. So that might change a little bit of how things are going. I mean, because even China, Korea and Japan have had strife and stuff too between. They've had trade wars and stuff too. So, but Korea has, I think, better relations somehow, with the United States and some of the Western countries, versus because they've been allied with them for so long. But yeah, it's the politics is very fascinating of it. And it's like I said, it's more of a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of thing for the Chinese idols, because, if they get blacklisted, that's a lot of their, it's a lot of money lost.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because I was like saying, do you like really blame like the idols themselves, or like do you just like blame like the politics for like making them like post something like this?
It's so hard because like, who do you can't do you blame somebody? Can you blame somebody in a situation like this? Because like you said, if you look at all the Weibo posts that all the Chinese idols posted, it's the same exact image, like establishing the 70th anniversary of the war that we fought against Korea and the U.S., which is what they called the Korean War in China, because for them it was them helping the communists in Northern Korea, and they nearly took over Korea, and Korea was almost a communist country before the U.S. intervened. And so and we wouldn't be here today without it. Weirdly.
Yeah, that's true. Like for me, like I think I put my blame more on like the politicians for, I guess, like influencing them, whether that they've been raised into that type of mindset, or they just made them like post up the banner at the moment. It's it's kind of sad like that they have to like, I guess, like share their opinions, whether they do believe in it or not. It's just it's kind of like a lose situation. Like, do you want to upset like your members or your like fan base in China, or like do you want to upset like the international fan base? And it's not like the first time like this has happened, like the Chinese like saying something and then it's like pissing off like other like Asian countries like Korea, Japan, and all that. It's gonna happen again. It sucks that it has to like still continue on.
Yeah, I mean, well, China's I think kind of losing because they're dealing with this whole trade war with the United States, which again I don't know if that's because Trump. It's but China's not looking super good right now, even outside of COVID, like in terms of like the trade wars and stuff, and just their very 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 nationalistic views in terms of like one country, the whole thing in Hong Kong is horrible, and I don't support that at all. Like Hong Kong is its own entity; it should really be its own country. It really kind of is its own country because it is very, very drastically different than the country of China. But and again, all opinions. These are all our own opinions. These aren't anybody's opinions. This is all us on our opinions and stuff. I gotta put that disclaimer out there. But it sucks. I mean, because we've seen it with other Chinese like celebrities and stuff too. Get like because we saw that with the actress in Mulan who had the came out and supported the police versus the Hong Kong citizens, and then the Western world got all mad at her because she was doing that. But again, if she wants to work in China, if she wants to work in China, she almost might have to say that in order to appease the media, because the media is controlled by the government. So
if she said like I'm against like what the police are doing, then she's gonna get I'm gonna say like the extreme like punishment, but she might get like blacklisted or like be shunned upon like the public. So that's why I'm not like I didn't like say anything about like any opinions regarding those what she stood for.
Yeah, I mean, and I feel like this happens every time China has some big sociopolitical like hissy fit. I guess if we want to call it a hissy fit.
Yeah.
Because I mean, again, it also almost being butthurt in a way, and like I said, the whole thing with BTS, like again, that was all started. Apparently, if you backtrack it, and I looked this up on the Washington Post, like you can almost backtrack to this like nationalistic fervor that oh my god, BTS is slighting China. based on like it was a Chinese tabloid, like the 5th biggest like media thing in China. And they were the ones like coming out saying like, how dare they, besmirch China and, side with the United States. It's like, again, the award was a South Korea, US combined group. That's why they're talking about those two nations. And again, China was never brought up once in that speech that RM gave. So
yeah, they just like jumping to conclusions, man.
It is. And I mean, honestly, I know there was a lot of talk like, oh my God, China's blacklisting BTS. And then they kind of backtracked on that because apparently there were rumors that like BTS merch and stuff were getting left in like shipping, like import stations and stuff and in customs just sitting there. And I guess that, I don't know if that was or was not true. It's kind of like they keep going back and forth on whether that was true or not. So I don't know what's happening. Again, I feel really bad for all the Chinese armies who are just kind of sitting here like stuck in the middle. But like, especially because right now I know merch has been really hard to get in some countries because there's been a lot of shipping bans because of COVID. So it's gotta love Asian politics.
It's really complicated. Like I said, they should probably like stay in their lane and let the entertainment just do their own thing. I mean, it's kind of like ironic that like they're doing that for like celebrities who have like their own political views. But I think with more China, it's more the extreme. So yeah, they left it out.
They like to do that. I mean, they even blacklisted the NBA in China for a year because of one team coming out, in support of the Hong Kong things. And it was only just recently that they actually started letting them air NBA games because basketball is really big overseas. That was a whole deal. So, you say one thing that's against the, what's happening in Beijing and media blacklist. So, yeah, it's. I mean, when you're talking about K-pop, like seriously, there are politics involved in K-pop. I mean, it is a huge export for South Korea, so there are a lot of politics tied into the genre itself. So whether that's good or bad, well, it remains to be seen almost in a way, but I don't know. So. But I guess, I don't know, is there anything else we want to bring up? Any other topics you want to talk about this week? Or I think we should call it a week?
Yeah, maybe we should like discuss maybe like next week for other news like aespa, like in their debut, once we get to know more information of like what they are and like what they're planning on doing with their concepts.
And, I think next week we should definitely touch into aespa's impending debut, as well as I think we had a couple of other album reviews. I think both Mamamoo and Monsta X have albums dropping next week as well, which should be very interesting. If you've seen any of the Monsta X previews of their album,
yeah, I've seen like some pictures and I'm getting nervous, man. Not because it's going to be bad. It's just like I'm not ready for the disrespect from Monsta X.
Yeah,
I've been already disrespected for like my 80s at the moment. I guess like who's to blame for that?
Cue evil laughter and lightning. Again, I'm gonna come wreck you come Halloween with Black Cat. Like it's coming. Oh, if you haven't seen it, go watch Immortal Songs AT's their performance of Black Cat, which is weird story. It is originally an Italian nursery song that was made into a 90s K-pop song by a group called Turbo, which is actually a really good group. You should check them out. And then that was performed on Immortal Songs, which in itself was amazing. And also good to note is that show is actually a competition show, and usually a lot of different artists compete on that show. And ETs was on it for the first time when they performed Black Cat, and they won the episode. And no group has ever really done. Yeah, they won the episode of that performance. Wow. And no group has ever done that. They were the first 4th gen group to actually win on the show, and the first like K-pop group to win outright, I think, the first time through. So that's a really hard feat to do because it's usually a lot of like ballad singers and trot singers and stuff that come on the show, a lot of older it's definitely more geared towards the older audience. So to have ATEEZ come out, which still hasn't seen a lot of, like, I think they're starting to finally get a little bit more grasp in Korea itself. They definitely have a really big international fan base, if you can't tell. If you couldn't tell with the performance videos that they dropped before they debuted.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's like the first time like I like got interested in K-pop. It's just like, oh, dang, like they have like really sick choreography.
Pick it up now. Also, my favorite fan chant in that fandom, Bad Bitch Puerto Rican. Look it up.
That's a fan chant?
That literally turned to a fan chant when they were performing that on stage during their expedition tour. It did. It was hilarious. It's hilarious. That's why though.
Wait, what?
Well, I mean, it's performed, it's being performed overseas here. So, because the video I showed you, sorry, I'm going on a side tangent here. The video I showed you, on Facebook that I tagged you in was the first time they were ever performing those 3 songs in Korea. Those 3 choreographies they did between Sicko Mode. What's the second one called? Between Sicko Mode, the second song, and then Pick It Up. That was the first time they ever did it in Korea.
Mm-hmm.
So because they were always doing it overseas, because they're definitely Western songs. But yeah, it was. That was fun. Like I said, I love ATEEZ. I'm sorry, I could gush about ATEEZ forever. But I should probably wrap it up. We should go ahead and plug some stuff. Jenny, why don't you go ahead and plug your stuff?
Okay, if you want to find me, you can find me on Jenny Designs, where you can check out some of my professional design work, or you can go to my personal pages from Twitter and Instagram as well, which is at RCL Imegojin. You can like find the spelling in my Jenny Designs because I always put up those links. And or you can like check out my site as well, which I also have those links up and ready in my Instagram, Jenny Designs. Jenny?
And you can find me on Facebook if you just Google. If you just Facebook look up Jenny Madisek, Jenni. You can also find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Chaos Bulldog. I'm trying to get better at posting stuff. I'm still not getting there, but I'm trying to get there. I'm getting better at posting stuff on Facebook, so that's kind of good, I guess. So
usually I still need to like memorize like my way of closing out. You can find me at blah 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 blah. I'm just gonna still know like my host, like my favorite host, like what they would say. Yes.
If you couldn't tell the last 2 weeks, I completely forgot to plug stuff because I'm a professional. We're still rookies. We're very much rookies at this game. We haven't hit the 2-year mark where we're completely not rookies anymore. Maybe when we hit our 2-year anniversary, maybe we'll have to have some kind of celebration. Who knows?
Oh my god! Or like first year. How about like first year?
Yeah, let's not even think about 2 years. Let's hopefully get 1 year under our belts first. Maybe even 6 months. Little baby goals. But yeah, I mean, this has been another episode of the Noonas podcast. Tune back in next week. Too. Yeah, I've been getting some more interesting topics. I think we just need to talk about some more interesting topics like this because, again, there's a lot of politics tied into K-pop. So, and a lot of people don't like to talk about it, but it does need to be talked about. So, I guess until then, what do we always say? Fighting. We'll see you guys next week.